What do you say to those things, the audio and the video?
They're horrible. They're disgusting. I destroyed lives that day, and the people I loved, and I can't bring that back, and I can't fix this situation, and I'm sorry, and I know that'll never be enough.
That was defendant Jordan Henning reacting to his own actions. He was being asked about it during direct examination while he's on the stand. He's apologizing essentially for the shooting death of his wife, Ashley. Prosecutors say that the former soldier flew into a rage. This was after celebrating his wife's 37th birthday party back in June of 2023. But Henning says that he simply broke, that he snapped after suffering years of emotional and physical abuse at the hands of his wife. He's claiming extreme emotional disturbance, hoping to either get an acquittal or a lesser charge, something like manslaughter in this murder trial. Let's go back into the courtroom now. We're picking it up where we left off. Henning is talking about that birthday party where everything seemed normal. His parents called to wish his wife a happy birthday, sang her a song, and then this.
Everybody's kind of like going through vehicles. It's starting to get dark, and so.
At any point did you try to make I guess a gesture of affection to Ashley?
I did. When my parents called, she was sitting on the back porch, and she was out there with Jessica, and if I'm not mistaken, Dakota and Andrew, Jessica's son, came out with us, but I tried to rub her shoulder. She kept shrugging me off and shrugging me off. Touch me, that kind of thing, and that's, I believe, the time that I tried to touch her then.
You had talked about sex previously in your in testimony, but apart from sex, was there intimacy in this relationship, affection?
No, Ashley, she wasn't. Her love language was acts of service and quality time, and so it was really hard at times for us to connect, especially with mine being physical touch. She just a lot of times just didn't want to be touched, so we weren't really physically intimate.
What did she say when you did try to touch her that evening?
Get off me.
What happened next?
I took that phone call. Everyone was congregating in the driveway. We were talking about Jessica's wedding that was coming up, and my general had a rule, and I truly believe and followed this, that not business casual isn't the same for everybody. Some people it's jeans, some people it's khakis, it's suit and tie or suit without a tie, and so I was showing her, she was the bride, wanted her permission. Hey, is this okay? And it was pictures of me and Ashley, and just outfits we had worn. I was like, hey, is it okay to wear this kind of stuff to your wedding? Like, because I don't know, it was in another state, so I didn't know what would be allowed or what she preferred. It was her day. And she was like, no, that one's fine. I forget which one she pointed to, but she was like, that one's fine. Everyone starts to get in their car, and I walk over to Ashley, and we're waving and we're saying our goodbyes, and I put my hand up on her neck and her shoulder again, and she shrugged me off. She's like, stop touching me. Okay, and that's where you hear her start to go into the house on the video, and that's the events that followed. We go into the house, and we start cleaning up, and I told her, I was like, hey, I just want to, what do you want me to clean up? Like, I just want to do something nice for you. Like, it seemed like you accept I just remember thinking like you accept everybody else's love and gifts and everything else, but like constantly rejecting me. And I asked her, I was like, hey, please let me do this. Let me serve you. Let me, she told me just clean something up, and so I go down to the basement. I remember taking glasses down to the basement, from the bars. We had a lot of stuff, a lot of that stuff. And then I remember hearing her screaming my name. I was just thinking, what did I do? What did I do now? And she was saying about this slip and slide that we had talked about with Carter and the kids earlier that day, that, hey, if you're going to bring it out, and we all agreed, me, her, and him, that, hey, if he's going to bring this out, he needs to put it away. She wanted to do it for him, and I wasn't okay with that. Like, no, we agreed on this. Like, this, you know, his parents were supposed to be united, and, you know, I was upset at her for, you know, just overriding me. It's just, she overruled me on everything, it felt like, and so I started yelling for Carter, and he's up in the shower, you know, and he's on a whole other floor. You got Tyler playing his computer, playing his Xbox, and Carter's in the water, and so I'm yelling loud, and yes, I was upset, and I was yelling, and we go outside. Carter, I'm trying to show him, like, hey, this is where I was pointing to the drain spout on this slip and slide because it would collect water in the end of it, and she's out there with us, and that's. And I kept telling him, he's like, where is it? Because it's getting dark. And I was like, it's right here. I was like, I was frustrated. And that's when she grabbed me around my balls and started smacking me. And I started telling her, let go, stop, please, let go. And I'm yelling at her. And she's pulling me from where the slip and slide was set up over to kind of the porch area. And as she's pulling me, I went to reach out for the banister, and I didn't grab the banister, I grabbed Carter, and somehow he ended up in between us, and I heard him scream. I had finally gotten a hold of her wrist, and I pried her off of me, and I restrained her wrist up by her head, and I was like, stop. And she had told him to go get Jimmy. And we're arguing, and Jimmy comes over and starts screaming at me, get off of her. And when I finally let up and let go of her wrist and stood up, he shoved me down onto my steps. And I just remember thinking, like, dude, you don't even know what's going on. Like, you don't understand even how we got to this point. Like, what are you attacking me for? I wasn't sitting on top of her, hitting her. I wasn't hurting her. I was just holding her wrist down. And when he shoved me down, she told him to run. And I don't know. I just took off after him. Like I was upset. I was mad. And
upset and mad, and eventually killed his wife. We are getting very close to that moment. I do want to get some analysis at this point, though, from our trial attorney standing by, Marjorie Mesidor, and here in studio with us, retired NYPD Executive Corey Pegues is with us. Thank you both for joining us. Corey, let me start with you. Your thoughts on what we're hearing from Jordan Henning, because this is direct examination. He's getting to tell his story. Are you picking up on anything truthful about the abuse he says he suffered at the hands of his wife?
No, not at all. I'm not really buying his story. It seems like it's really made up, and which this is what they do. He's fighting for his life, right? But I don't think he's going to be able to get away from that electronic footprint, that video. But he's going for an Emmy, but I think he's going to get a bronze. It's not, I don't think it's looking good.
That video is very damning. Marjorie Mesidor, he made the decision to testify, even after he had a pretty compelling expert on the stand saying that he suffered from extreme emotional disturbance, that a lot of things played into that, the alcohol, the testosterone, the abuse that he was dealing with, and the stress at work. Do you think this was a smart idea now that you are hearing him testify?
To agree with my co-panelist that there was not really a lot here for him to add that would aid in his defense. It seems like it was a bad idea. I don't think his affect or his believability translates in his recounting of the story. And if he had a powerful expert that spoke about his emotional distress, he should have left it at that I think that, again, the video is damning. I think that the video of the interaction between them, of her not being the aggressor, flies in the face of any sort of history of some sort of domestic abuse and domestic violence. Also, his sheer size change also flies in the face of domestic abuse and domestic violence. His size at his mugshot and his size now are clearly different. He is clearly much smaller and smaller frame than he was when the mugshot was taken. It does not show me that he was the person who was receiving any abuse. He also testified that many times she said, "Don't touch me." She moved away from him several times. Again, this testimony is not helping him at all.
And we are about to hear him have to explain away that video and what he was feeling in that moment. Marjorie and Corey, please stand by. We're going to get to a break, and we'll get everyone back into that case in Kentucky against Jordan Henning. Welcome back to Court TV Live. Let's go back inside of that Kentucky courtroom for the military wife murder trial for Jordan Henning. He's accused of murdering his wife, Ashley. She was a sergeant first class, a mother, and she was at her home on her birthday back in 2023. Her husband confessed to the shooting, and he now says that he endured years of abuse at the hands of his wife, and he's just been detailing what led up to the incident, that he tried to touch his wife, and she said no, that she didn't want anything to do with him. She was saying things that caused him to be upset. Let's go back in. The defendant is on direct examination.
Put him into a combative headlock, and I just held him there until he would stop, just stop. And finally he was tapping my leg, and I let him go, and he was like, "I'm grabbing my fucking gun." And I don't know, I was scared. I took off as fast as I could upstairs to my room where I had my pistol. And I remember grabbing my pistol and my spare magazine and just thinking, like, this is how I'm gonna die. Like, my friend is going to kill me. And I ran back downstairs, and I didn't know where he went. I didn't know if he had left the property. I didn't know. And so I'm outside, and I was just mad. I was scared. I don't know. And I just remember seeing him and Chris Becker and Chris's truck pull up, and Chris Becker and him coming over, and I saw that he had something in his hand, and it looked like a gun. And then I don't know. A lot of it's a blur. I was so fucking mad, and I was just upset, and my wife had just attacked me yet again, and I didn't know what else she would do, and I thought my friend was going to kill me over it. I didn't know what was going on, and it was just chaos. And I just broke. I don't know. Next thing I remember, I'm just standing over top of her shooting. And it's just, I didn't know how I got to that point, or what was going on. I didn't know it. I didn't understand how we got there, and so I was just scared, and I don't know. I remember at one point being in my car, and then the cop was arresting me, and I don't know. It comes in snippets, and it's just hard. It's hard to describe because you don't. I just don't remember it all. It was so much chaos. I don't know.
Just to back up just a bit, when you said she grabbed your testicles, was this inside the house, or was it outside, or was it on the deck?
Oh, it's when we were outside with the slip and slide. We were there, and it's when she pulled me over to the deck.
And at some point on video, can you hear Carter say something or do something?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right. She pulls you over there. What are you saying to her as best you can remember?
Can you say that again, sir?
What are you saying to her as best you can as she's grabbing your testicles?
I'm telling her to let go and stop. Let go. Let go. She just wouldn't.
How did you get her to stop?
I grabbed her wrist. I physically yanked her off of me.
Is that when Watts comes?
That's when he came over after that, yes.
And he sees her on the deck?
I don't know what he sees.
Okay.
I can't say.
Go ahead.
I can't speak for him.
When he leaves, what do you think he's doing?
Exactly what he said he would do. I thought he was grabbing his gun.
Until he comes over and does that, did you have a gun on you?
No.
How many guns did you have in the house?
I had my pistol, and then we had a BB gun that we kept downstairs.
A pistol and a BB gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you get your pistol, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What do you then see after that when you have your pistol?
After I went back downstairs, I'd seen Jimmy and Chris.
Okay, you keep mentioning Chris. Are you sure you saw two people? Do you believe you saw two people?
Yes, I saw Jimmy for sure when he came back, and it was Chris Becker.
And who is Chris Becker?
He's another guy that we would hang out with. He lived down the road. That's why I remember it being so weird that he was there. And where did he come from?
Was his vehicle there, Ford F-150?
Say that again?
Was his vehicle there?
It was he had a black truck, yes.
Black truck? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you think you see two people, not just Watts, but somebody else?
Yes.
In your mind, what is going on?
It's just, at that time, I was just mad that my friend had attacked, that we got into a fight in my yard, and then he said he was gonna kill me over this. Like, he didn't even understand what was going on. And I was scared.
We've seen the video, heard the audio, okay?
Yes, sir.
And honestly, sir, you'll agree it's just very difficult to watch and hear.
Yes. It's extremely difficult to watch.
I want to ask you about, though, some of the things, yelling at Carter. How did you view Carter?
All my kids were my world. Carter, he was my little mini-me. He always wanted to do stuff just like me. He always just kept saying, I want to be just like Daddy. Even anytime I would get a new Army PC, he would take my old one and he'd wear it around and play soldier. It's the son.
All right, we do have to slip in a break. Getting emotional on the stand there, the defendant, as he talks about not only being afraid for himself, but seemingly afraid because of his friends, but yet it's his wife that ends up being killed. Let's get to our break. We'll get back in for more after this.
Say that glove won't fit OJ, and if you don't ask him to try it on, I will.
Why do an experiment for the first time in front of a jury? It was utter incompetence.
We believe the glove was his.
It was a setup. They weren't fitting it.
That was O.J. Simpson's best acting.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Trial and Error. Why did O.J. win? A Court TV original series. New episode Sunday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific. Only on Court TV.
Let's go right back to Kentucky, where we're watching the military wife murder trial, and we have the defendant on the stand, Jordan Henning, who the prosecution says intentionally shot his wife and killed her, but the defense says that he snapped, that he was suffering from extreme emotional distress or a disturbance. And right now he has just been talking about his children that he shared with the victim in this case. One child was biologically his, the other two were biologically his wife, but he was raising them as his own. Let's go back in. He's getting emotional on the stand.
I know what was wanted, and I loved them so much. I just can't believe I hurt them.
When you're yelling there at Carter, you think you were maybe beginning to lose it?
Yeah, I was, I don't know, I was just mad at Ashley, and she just kept rejecting me and just, I don't know, just dismissing me. And I don't know, I was upset. And when I was yelling at Carter, yelling for Carter, and I don't know.
Now, you understand the Commonwealth say, well, when you shot the last shot, you must have been thinking about it. Were you really thinking at this point? Were you in control?
No, I wasn't thinking at all.
Did you have any judgment at this point?
No.
When you left, how did the police end up arresting you?
I don't really remember. I just remember being thrown in the back of the car, and I don't know. I just remember I was in my car, and then they yelled, "Stick your hands out," and somehow I was on my knees, and then I was arrested, and I don't know, it comes in snippets, and it's hard to piece together at times.
Now, I want to ask you, at some point you threw the gun, is that right?
Yes.
According to the video. What were you taught about weapons in the military?
So, are you talking about, like, if an enemy combatant has one, or?
Yes.
So just if they even have one in the area, if they're not allowed to, it's what we consider hostile intent. If they point it at you, hostile action. If they fire it, it's a hostile action. If they're showing it, threatening to use it, things like that, you kind of read the situation. You just don't think, though. You just have to react to it.
Understood. This all happens, I guess, in less than 30 minutes. Honest to God, during this 30 minutes, are you making calculations, thinking, planning, anything like that?
No.
What are you doing?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just reacting.
You're arrested that night, right?
Say again?
You're arrested that night?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever been arrested before?
No, sir.
How about as a juvenile?
No, sir.
I mean, for anything, anywhere.
Never been in trouble more than a speeding ticket in my entire life.
How old are you?
34.
Just some of the things at least going through your mind that night, okay? Did you believe Watts said he was going to get a weapon?
Yes, I did.
Do you think Watts came back on your property? Did you believe that anyway, with a weapon?
Yes, I did.
Did you believe that there was a second person there as well?
Yes, I did.
Did you think, for whatever reason, that you were in danger? Did you think you were in danger?
I absolutely thought that.
Is there any doubt about the testicles and you being pulled by the testicles? Was there any doubt in your mind that that had happened?
No.
I know she grabbed you by the testicles before. Was this worse, better? What was different about this?
The worst it's ever happened. I've never been drugged 10 feet by I just couldn't get her off of me. It just wouldn't let go.
Until Watts said he was going to get a gun, did you even have a gun on you that night?
No, I didn't.
Do you understand you killed somebody that night? You understand that?
Yeah, I do.
You believe you broke that night, Jordan?
I watched myself on that video, yes. I don't know who that was. I've never done that or been like that, ever. Well, that's what makes it so hard to watch.
I'm sorry, what?
So that's what makes it really hard to watch. Yeah, I don't know who that was.
I could just have a moment.
While the defense gets together their final question for this defendant, let's bring in our law and order guests who are with us. We've got trial attorney Marjorie Mesidor and law enforcement veteran Corey Pegues in studio with us. Marjorie, extreme emotional distress, that's the defense. Do you think he's getting anywhere close to that with what we're hearing?
Absolutely not. What I see direct evidence of is a 34-year-old man who was unable to regulate his emotions in the moment.
Emotions we're seeing, though, on the stand, Corey. He's been malmannered in terms of his testimony during direct. Do you expect that to change at all under cross?
Oh, the cross is going to be a pit bull. They're going to press him on a cross-examination. He's going to have to answer some really tough questions, and the main one being, why did you murder your wife?
Do you think he's going to change? You think he's going to seem more aggressive than we are seeing him under direct examination? I mean, we're even seeing emotion now from him at the end.
Yeah, but you know, the cross is going to be tougher, so he's not going to have that same laid-back demeanor, and he probably show a lot more emotions because they're going to be grilling him. You know how they do in the court. They're going to be grilling him, and we're going to see that the show that he's trying to put on is a farce.
Let's go back in. That sidebar is over. Final words from the defense.
Yeah, you stated a couple of things. You stated the video is really hard to watch and really hard to hear, okay? Would you agree it's horrible?
Yes, sir.
You understand that when I sit down, they're going to ask you questions, and you're going to have to hear and see that. Do you understand that? They're going to ask you questions about it.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, that night, I forget whether I used the word broke or snapped, but do you think you did both? You broke and you snapped?
Yeah.
All right.